All right, so video to our future selves. So I think the context of this video is kind of funny because we flew from Nepal uh, to Qatar, and the flight from Nepal was delayed over an hour. And so when we got to Qatar, we only had 28 minutes to catch our flight. We didn't think there was a chance we were going to connect our flight. But when we got off of the airplane in Qatar, there was a man that was holding a sign that said just Ben Honeycutt and Natalie Chabot, and then escorted us past security, through international security, all the way to our plane. And we got there with minutes to spare. It was just ruthlessly efficient and amazing. And then when we flew to France, the time zone was 6 hours different than Nepal. And I had been a part of international travel for a very long time. I did not expect to get absolutely wrecked by jet lag. That was the worst jet lag I've ever had from Nepal to France. And it lasted for like the first 2 to 3 days of our time in France. And so we rode the metro, and I was just dog tired, so tired as we are going through the metro, and Nat is like just willing us to get to our hotel. And when we get to our hotel, it's pretty late at night, and we encounter our first difference in work culture between France and the United States. There is no one there at the hotel. We are locked out. We are quite literally locked out. And I'm sitting there just really exhausted. Nat is starting to panic because how are we going to get in? Are we just going to be locked out all night? And I got the idea, like we were standing outside the lobby. I put on my Canon zoom lens on my Canon and just zoomed into the lobby and found a phone number and took a picture of the phone number. And Nat looked at that picture on the Canon and then called someone who was able to give us a code to let us in. It was pretty amazing. And that work culture, I think, was the biggest shock to us both, even Nat. When people were done, they were done. Like when we were later at the very end of the trip, we were returning a used car, a rental car that we had that we just driven cross country, and we called, and we were going to get there with 15 minutes to spare. And the guy, when we answered, said, nope, the paperwork that I'm going to have to do will take me longer than 15 minutes, and I close at 5, so you're out of luck. So we had to drive in downtown Paris. And I know I only drove about 20% of the trip, but it was terrifying to me because I can't speak French. And so maybe future Ben can as he watches this video, but that was terrifying and yet amazing. But by far the funniest part of anti-work culture was coffee. The French do not drink coffee like we do. You know, historically, coffee shops were places for people to gather and to talk about life, talk about politics, talk about the world. It was a place away from work where you can relax, sip coffee to your extent, not, chug 20 ounces of coffee and use it as a drug stimulant to survive the workday. No, coffee was meant to be away from work. And even at Starbucks and McDonald's, the largest coffee that we could get was 12 ounces. And there was ice nowhere in the country, so I could not find iced coffee for myself. And people were offended whenever we would ask for to-go coffee. People were very offended and pushed back on that, which Nat expected, but I don't think she was expecting the ferocity of it because coffee was a place for relaxation. It was not supposed to be a stimulant that could help us get travel the country like we did. But still looking back, it was one of the greatest experiences of our life, and we love looking back on that and the adventures that we had while we were there. Her Quebecois was very popular with the young men throughout Paris. I was pretty much ignored, but I was ready for that because of the culture shock I had in Montreal. Everyone just ignored me and gave me dirty looks, but Natalie's Quebecois was a huge hit, which is how we got to see the Mona Lisa, and how she was also able to navigate to get us our metro passes that let us navigate the city so efficiently, which was awesome. But what we did not expect is when we got to Normandy, it was a complete flip where my English and the fact that I was American was incredibly popular. Both of us were really caught off guard by that. A young woman in Normandy who asked if she could practice her English with me, not Natalie, even though Natalie could speak English totally fine. She was not interested in practicing her English with Natalie after hearing her Quebecois, and so it was just this really weird flip. And then the moment we arrived back to Paris, it was all flipped over again, where the waiter just flat out ignored me, and Nat had to order for me. Anyway, it was so much fun. It's so much fun to look back on, and it's why this video at the very beginning of us in France, of Nat getting on the phone and looking at the picture on the Canon, is still a video that we really treasure and don't want to forget the context.
Au moins un mois ou deux.
C'est quel nom vous m'avez dit?
Ça, c'est soit Nathalie Chabot ou Benjamin Honeycutt.
Ah, c'est Benjamin Honeycutt, ok. Vous êtes à l'extérieur de l'hôtel, là?
Oui.
C'est ça? Je vous donne le code. Vous avez vu le petit boîtier où il y a le...
Oui.
Ah, le code, je vous donne le code. C'est A05
105
92A.
92A.
Ah, là, ça ouvre la porte.
Juste une minute, ça dit incorrect. Donc, 105 92. Ah.
Comme 05 92A.
One of them isn't typing. You
Oh.
type it, so watch it.
05 92A.
Parfait, merci monsieur.
Et après, vous allez vous diriger à la réception à droite.